All right, this is not going to be very fun. Welcome back to the channel. If you have never watched a video, this is a very intense one for you to watch for the first time. As many of you know, or maybe you don't know, but I was on track to do a bodybuilding competition. I was 4 weeks out, so I had dedicated 15 weeks to prep. I was deep into it. Calories got really low, the cardio got really high, and I was in love with it. I am obsessed, but I was obsessed. Loved waking up in the morning and seeing progress and doing my check-ins. Like, I was so in love with the entire thing, and things started looking up. Like, it was crazy. Like, Gymshark had the Lift LA event and invited me out there. So I was supposed to go to that event. The following weekend, Rise wanted me down in Miami for a photo shoot. They were, like, they had so much momentum because I was about to be involved in all these things and a photo shoot and everything. And then it had just been my birthday. I went to go get my hair done on the 8th of August, and on my way home, I kind of started noticing that my stomach felt bloated. There was like swelling and stuff, and I figured, I'm on prep. My body is weird right now. I'm probably just really hungry. I hadn't eaten anything in about 4 or 5 hours because that's how long it took for the lady to do my hair. And so I was like, I'm probably just hungry. So I get home and like the pain kind of gets worse. I start noticing that my stomach is even more swollen. So I text my coach and I ask him like, hey, like, I don't know what's going on. My body's kind of acting weird, because I'm just thinking it's something from prep. And so I just go to get like it wasn't supposed to be my next meal, but it was just one of my meals in the day, super easy. It was rice cakes and blueberries and almond butter. Eating rice cakes, and that causes like the worst nausea and pain. Like, the pain after like I ate the rice cake and it going down, it was so weird. It was so strange. It felt like the rice cake felt like knives in my body. And so I started kind of freaking out. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then after I ate the rice cakes, probably just a couple minutes later, I started violently throwing up. At this point, the pain is like creeping up. It's not just in my stomach anymore. It started going into my chest and into my shoulder. So I, of course, start freaking out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I having a heart attack? So you can do this, you can do this. You're okay, you're okay, you're okay. So at this point, I'm utterly terrified. I FaceTime my sister, and I'm like, I know some of you are gonna say I'm being dramatic, or, you're gonna hear this and you're gonna roll your eyes. But I was screaming in pain. I felt like I was dying. And it was like the most terrifying feeling. I remember I was on FaceTime with my sister, and I literally couldn't move. I was like hunched over on the floor. And I just remember I was telling her, I don't want to die. I'm not ready to die. I don't want to die. And of course she's, I can tell that she is so like utterly scared, like just a look on her face, but she's trying to remain calm and she doesn't know how to help me. And she was asking me like, how are you feeling? Is it getting better? In that span of like 5 minutes, it went from being like on the pain scale, like 1 to 10, like 10 being unbearable. It went from like a 6 to a 9, and then literally in the last like 30 seconds before I called 911, it went from like a 9 to a 12. I can tell like I'm very in tune with my body, and I could tell something was just wrong. I get off the phone with her and she's like, call 911, and then whenever you're done, immediately call me back. I call 911, and they tell me to stay on the line. They ask me what's happening, and I'm like trying to tell them. I'm trying to tell them my information. I'm trying to give them my address, everything, as I'm like screaming in pain, because at this point it's so unbearable. Like, I feel like I'm about to pass out. I get really bad cold sweats. I got so pale, like I was stark white in the face, and I was trembling. Like, I literally like was shaking, and I felt like my body was failing on me. Like, it felt like everything was shutting down. And I started getting like really sleepy, which terrified the hell out of me. I told the operator, I said, I don't know if I can stay awake. I told her, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And she's like, try to stay on the line with me until they get there. And I'm just on my bed. And at this point, I'm laying on my bed talking to the operator. I'm kind of going like in and out because the pain has gotten so bad. I can't move because if I move, it's literally just like, it feels like knives are inside trying to like come out. So I'm saying my prayers because I thought it was the end. So obviously, like they always have to send the fire department, they send paramedics, like the ambulance. Fire department gets here first, come in, it's 3 guys. They come in and, like they go into my bedroom, and the first thing they do, they take all those like those little sticky things, because they have to run an EKG because I was having chest pains. So I'm sitting there or laying down on my bed. They come in, they put all those little sticky things on me. Like, I'm just sitting there. I'm like so limp, like I'm given up on this at this point. They run the EKG, they see that my heart's fine. The pain again has like climbed. It just keeps climbing and it keeps getting worse. If you saw me 4 weeks out on prep, you saw how small my waist was. Like, I had really defined like flat abs, and swelling was like probably that much off my body. Like, it was that distended, and that's why I could tell like something was wrong. And like the fact that it kept swelling, it was so odd. They asked me if I want to be taken to the hospital, and I said yes. And they asked, do you want to be taken by ambulance? And I said, I can't even stand up, so I would have to be. Grab my purse for like my ID, and they grabbed my shoes, and they put me on a stretcher, and they take me out to the ambulance. In the ambulance, they usually give you like pain meds or something. They did not give me pain meds. They gave me ketamine, and I started hyperventilating because I got so much anxiety, because ketamine's a horse tranquilizer. And they like told me like, we're gonna give you ketamine, and I said no, like I don't want that. And they were like, it's gonna like help you not think about the pain. Well, that did not happen. They gave me the ketamine, and all I did was I felt not real. I hated it. I started freaking out. I got anxiety. I had a panic attack on top of everything else. My dad and my stepmom were on a plane. They were out of the state. They were on a trip, and then my sister didn't have a car to come see me. And then so I'm sitting there, I'm like, who do I call? Who is gonna come to the hospital? Like, who is gonna be there? So I call my friend Megan. I texted her. I literally text her hospital. And then I'm in the ambulance after they gave me ketamine, and I FaceTime her. And like, it's so odd because like I mentally was trying to tell her, like, it's like the best way I can describe it is like, in my mind, I was trying to tell her, Megan, like, something's wrong, I'm going to the hospital, can you meet me there? But it's like my body, I was literally like, I was so out of it. The paramedic took my phone and explained everything to her, and so Megan came. She was like, okay, I'm on my way right now. So they take me into the ER again. Like, this entire time, the pain does not let up. It gets worse. And like, just to, like, so you know, like the entire time I'm screaming in pain, like physically yelling, I'm crying, like I'm literally drenched in sweat because my body is like undergoing so much stress from the pain. The way that my body reacts whenever I have a panic attack and then I hyperventilate is my limbs seize up. So all that happened. So like, they had an IV in me and my limbs seized up. So my arms were like retracted like this, like up against my body. I couldn't move them. My legs were fully flexed. And it gave me like 2 hard knots in both calves. Like every muscle basically like had a Charlie horse. It's similar, the way that my body reacts, it's similar to like rigor mortis, if you know what that is. It's like when your limbs just like go completely stiff and like cold. So that's what happened. So on top of all the pain, I physically like couldn't move because of the hyperventilation. So I'm in the ER, and then of course they try to give me fentanyl. I refused. I was like, I don't want pain meds. I want to know what's wrong with me. And you know, like the ER nurses, like I know they see stuff every day, so they just were, I guess like they maybe thought I was being dramatic or whatever. Just to give you like a time frame, I called 911 at 7:09 p.m. By the time Megan got to the hospital, it was 8 p.m. I got there around like 7:30-ish. They had to do blood work, so they took blood, you know, and like the vials to do whatever. And then they wanted to do a urine test. I don't know, I guess to see if I was like pregnant or something, which there's literally no way I could be. It kind of got like dehumanizing because I physically couldn't move. Like I can't get up. So I had to whisper to Megan and be like, can you ask them for a bedpan? You know, shout out to real friends, man, because I don't know what I would have done if Megan wasn't there. Megan's also like a medical assistant, so she, you know, like she wasn't making jokes. She understood like the weight, the severity of the situation. So she obviously wanted me to like keep as much dignity as possible. So instead of like the nurses like stripping me down, like she helped me. Like I couldn't like take off my own pants. Like I couldn't move. And so, you know, like with the bedpan, you still have to lift up. And so like the nurse and Megan had to like lift me up like by my legs a little bit. And so like I'm screaming in pain because like that shift was hurting my abdomen so bad. So, you know, like she gets the urine sample, whatever. And they put a gown on me. Again, like Megan helps me instead of them. That way I like can keep some dignity. And so like I do, you know, like she like helps me dress, whatever. I get the gown on, and like at this point, like I'm so unaware of like my physical body. Like all I can focus on is the pain. And it was really sweet because every time I would shift or move, if like the gown moved and I was like indecent, Megan would cover me up, you know, like she was really, really there for me. So after some time of waiting, I finally get to go get a CAT scan. You have to put your arms over your head like this. And I told the lady, like, I was like, I can't do it, because I'm again, like, it's so painful. Like, the entire, like, all of my hair was, like an inch or two down was, like, wet, because I was soaked in sweat. Like, I'm sweating through everything. Like, my body was going through it. I get the CT scan done, longest 3 minutes of my life. Again, it made the pain 10 times worse. They see a lot of stuff in the ER, so it's like, it's nothing against them, it's not their fault, whatever. But the lady was like, you gotta sit still, and I'm like, I don't think she understands how much pain I'm in right now. They put me back in like the ER waiting room, whatever, and no one really says anything to me. They get the results back, and everyone starts moving a lot quicker. A nurse starts grabbing all my stuff, and she's, you know, putting it on the little like rolly mobile bed that I'm on at the hospital. Someone else comes in and they're talking to each other. Everyone's moving very quickly. They're saying, get her admitted. And then I heard another nurse say, take her up to the surgical floor. Again, I'm not being told anything. I feel very out of the loop. I'm terrified. I don't know what's going on. Another nurse comes in and she's like, all right, I'm gonna take you up to the 3rd floor, or a team of surgeons are gonna come in and talk to you. I am absolutely fucking terrified at this point. I look at Megan and like, I felt so helpless. So they take me upstairs. We wait in the room for a minute. Megan's texting my dad, telling him what's going on. She's texting my sister, giving her updates. Surgeon walks in and she's like, we're gonna have to have emergency surgery tonight. You need to sign these papers, this and that. This is what we have to do. And she tells me, you know, what happened. So I had something that's called cecal volvulus. It's when your right colon twists on itself and then it causes like a bowel obstruction. So it basically is like it inflates because it's inflamed. Well, when that happens, the only way to fix it is surgery. And the surgeon, she comes in and she shows the scans. I can't see them because I'm turned one way, and like I've said a million times, I physically cannot move. So she shows Megan, and my right colon, that distension that I was talking about, that it was so raised, it was dilated to 4 times its size. So on the scan, Megan was saying it was about this big. She said it looked like a black hole in my body. And then she compared it to another scan of mine that the hospital had on record, and that same thing, like my right colon, was like this big, like very tiny, like how it should be. And then right now it is about that big. And the surgeon starts talking to me, and she's like, your right colon, there's a bowel obstruction, so we have to perform emergency surgery. I'm gonna have to go in and remove about 4 inches and then like reattach it and everything. And she's telling me that the size of it is like borderline rupture. And if your colon ruptures, as everyone knows, there's E. coli in your colon, which if that ruptures and that goes into your body, it's septic, which is sepsis, and that's an infection in the blood, and you can die from that in like an hour. She's telling me, had I waited, or had I not called 911, I would have died. I feel like a terrified 10-year-old kid being told all this stuff, and like stuff just being thrown at me, all this information. I'm having to sign paperwork while I like don't feel like I'm physically, like mentally there. After that, like everything just everyone felt like they were like functioning at like 2 times speed. Like nurses were coming in, they were taking off my other gown, putting on a new gown. They were like putting my hair up. They were taking off my socks. They were putting on like those surgical grippy socks, whatever. They were like literally like stripping me down, and they were wiping me down before surgery. They're like, you have to take out all your jewelry. Like, I can't sit there and just like do this. Like, I'm hunched over. So Megan takes out all of my jewelry, my belly button ring, everything, and then they wheel me down, and I see the anesthesiologist and talk to him. Mainly Megan talks to him because, like I said, like I'm not really coherent. Honestly, talking to the anesthesiologist was the last thing I remember. And then I don't remember anything else until surgery's done. So I go back up to my room. Like, they wheel me back up. Surgeon says that everything went well. Well, I go into my room. My dad and my stepmom are there. As soon as I got off their plane, they came to the hospital. At this point, surgery started around midnight, and it was done at like 2:13 in the morning. The surgeon said everything went fine. Thankfully, there was no like dead tissue. Everything was really healthy. So she just went in, took out the twisted part, and then like reattached it. I'm also extremely thankful that it didn't end in a colostomy bag, because that would have been a whole other mental battle to go through. That it's going to be a 6-week recovery. And I remember the first thing I asked for was my phone. Well, I asked the surgeon, I said, when can I train again? And then I asked for my phone, and I texted my coach. At 2:13 in the morning, I said, Coach, I can't do the show anymore. This entire thing has been way more of a mental battle than a physical one. I can go through the recovery pain, that doesn't matter, but it's the mental struggle of being in quite literally the best shape of my life, the most active I've ever been. I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day. I was training for like 3 hours in the gym. Like, everything was like going so well, and I was so happy. I was so deep into it. I was so committed, and then in literally the span of a few hours, everything changed. The way my body looked changed. I'm extremely swollen, retaining water. My muscles look really flat. Like, I can't do anything. I can't train. It has been a huge, like, mind fuck, to say the least. Like, I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. I don't like taking pictures of myself. I don't think I look good. I don't feel good about myself. And I was sat in the hospital bed for 6 days. That's how long I stayed there after surgery, was almost a week. And it gave me a lot of time to think. Going through that and having my life change and being told that, you know, it could have been way, way worse, it really made me think about a lot of things, and it definitely gave me a whole new appreciation for life. It made my gratitude skyrocket. But on the other hand, it also gave me a new appreciation for myself. It made me not want to deal with, you know, someone not treating me right. It gave me a new sense of like self-worth. I won't be a pushover. I don't want the bare minimum anymore. Like, it made me want the most out of every single thing that I've ever done. It made me want so much more. It made me not want to sit on the sidelines. It made me not want to do things half-assed. It changed everything. I am so grateful to still be here. I'm so grateful that it went the way it did, that I'm healing the way that I am. And honestly, I want to get back in the gym. I want to be back on prep. I want to do a show. Because now, like, not being able to train not only makes me feel like mentally messed up and not like my physical body, like, it sparked like an eating disorder again, where I don't want to eat because I can't train, and I don't want to gain weight, and I don't want to look bad, and I don't want to lose definition. And it's been hard. I just want to get back to it, and I have to remind myself daily, you went through so much, you came out stronger, and you just have to give yourself a little bit of grace. So if that's one thing that you can take away from this whole thing, is give yourself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself, because your body is capable of great things. Your body is resilient. Your body will bounce back. But in the meantime, it is so important to take care of your mental health while your body's healing. Like, that also needs to heal. And that's where I'm at right now. So I'm trying to find joy and happiness in doing other types of content outside of the gym. But I just know that the comeback is going to be really fucking great. I'm so excited to be able to be me again. And maybe this is just another way to find out what else I am outside of the gym. But if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching. I know this was kind of sappy, a little emotional, whatever, but I tried to just shorten it as much as I could, but give also as much detail as I could, because I know people were asking questions. But that's kind of it. I'm still obviously recovering. It's healing. I still am extremely numb. I have a lot of nerve pain, which is, you know, obviously uncomfortable to deal with. I have to wear this thing. It's called a belly binder. It basically just like holds everything really tight, and it like just feels like support, since my abdomen is like very loose right now, because obviously I got split open down the middle. Thanks for watching. If you did watch all the way through, I don't know what YouTube video I will be making next. I don't know if I will be. I've just been kind of focusing on more short form content. It's easier for me right now since I can't do, obviously, what I want to be doing. So you can follow my TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. I do a lot of stuff on there. I'll put those like in the description. I'll link them. I hope you enjoyed my little story, and I'll see you guys in the next video.